Hello, everybody. You're watching the Martyr Music Channel, and I'm your host, Nick Martyr. Today's album comes in at a whopping 44 minutes and 37 seconds with 13 tracks to carry along that way. It is Gezebelle Gaburgably's sixth studio album, Gaburger. Released on July 4th of 2023, this album was here to solidify Gezebelle Gaburgably's exit from the incel-core music scene into the broader e-punk music scene. I really hope that is the most music critic I ever sound during this series, because feeling a little bit like Anthony Fantano. But let's get right into it. So coming up with our first track is Bruh. Like I said in the last video, I like it when albums use their first song as a formal introduction. Don't know why, it just feels like it gives the rest of the album feel almost more dramatic in a way. And Bruh is really no different than any other. We have this kind of manic, synthy, very e-punk sounding backing track, and then these almost like sped up vocals. They're just pretty much two people talking about how Gezebelle Gaburgably was actually a woman the whole time and not a man. And this is really something that I never personally quite got. I mean, it really is in her name, Gezebelle Gaburgably. Jezebel is a woman's name from the Bible. Maybe it's just because of my Christian background. That was my first inclination. But either way, when she was found out to be a woman by the incel-core community, she got a lot of initial backlash. Shouldn't be that surprised that a community called incel-core is a little bit disrespectful towards women. Don't know what to tell you. And next up is track number 2, Heads Up. And this song really is a great showcase of her newer sound and older sound as well. It's very garage rock, 60s girl group. It really just hits all the right spots, in my opinion. The lyrics are very hedonistic, which is pretty common for the rougher side of modern alternative music. But all in all, it is still a great standalone track and a great first real song. Just a little side note, I remember looking up the lyrics to this song when it first came out. And thankfully it was on Genius. And if you don't know about Genius, it's a website where you can look up lyrics and then people put in notes about the meaning behind the lyrics. And I remember this must have been when the question whether or not she was a real woman or a transgender woman, because there's a line that goes, "Where's the girl that I used to be? I'd kill myself so we could leave." And that lyric, so I'd kill myself so we could leave, was highlighted, and when I clicked it, the note for that was, this is evidence that she's transgender because transgender people have a much higher suicide rate. It's not up there anymore, so make of that what you will. And track number 3 is Slime. This is very much a, I'm not like other girls, I'm a nice girl kind of thing. Which is a nice play on the whole nice guy motif that a lot of other kind of more, well, incel-y bands and artists do. It's really just great pop punk. It's very catchy. The melody is so great. I mean, there's not really much more to go about it. It's just a fantastic pop punk track. And then I also like the end where it is the vocal melody, but it's pretty much like FNAF screams doing the vocal melody. That's the best way I can describe it. And track number 4 is Predictable Shame. This song does something that I really like in music, where the first chorus is at the very beginning. So you just go straight to the chorus and then the first verse. And that's just one of those tricks that instantly elevates a song, in my opinion. And the rest of the song is fairly standard punks-inspired music. But the bridge is probably the best part of the whole song, where it's this very heart-wrenching vocal line singing about we just don't belong. And having gone through breakups before, that realization moment is exactly how that bridge sounds. SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Gary, Sandy, Plankton, Karen, and of course, track number 5 is Inside Her, which has a intro vocal which sounds exactly like that meme. Yeah, that intro is very Blink-182 All the Small Things sounding. But then after that, though, you have this very mellow, almost fluty sounding synth. Going through the verse and the chorus, it's this almost like 2000s soft alternative sound. That's the best way I can really describe that. But all in all, it shows a really great musical growth from the punk roots of her previous albums and previous songs, and showcases her as maybe a more serious artist. And track number 6 is Believe. And I'll be honest, this is a hard track to get through. Anytime I listen to this album, I just skip it. The vocals are just not for me. I mean, it's an okay song. I hate being too negative, especially about my top 50 albums. But she does this very kind of high-pitched, almost Middle Eastern sounding vocal line throughout the entire song. But if I could say anything good about this song, it makes me feel like I'm like in like a chase scene in like Beirut, Lebanon. Who knows, maybe it's the IDF trying to get me for being a bad goyim or something. Who knows? And up next, we have track number 7, Adam and Eve. So as I stated earlier with my Christian upbringing and, well, still Christian background, hearing Adam and Eve and it being about lovers, I'm not gonna lie, I like that. But in all honesty, though, this song is probably one of her greatest in terms of musical expertise. It's mostly just a solo ballad with vocals and acoustic guitar, a couple effects here and there, and then some instruments that come in later. But even just by themselves, vocals, guitar, it's very haunting indeed. And it shows a side of her that we don't really see in her other music, and that is introspection. Most of her songs were about hating those who rejected her, but this song is about how she might be the problem. But sadly, that introspection doesn't quite last, as the next track, Unfathomable Pain, is, well, back to the regularly scheduled program. This song is, again, about heartbreak, and it's about the troubles of keeping a relationship after the breakup, and that could be friendship with the person or some of the after effects through a wider friend group. And this song is definitely not as serious as Adam and Eve or even Predictable Shame. You have this weird vocal in the intro, which I can't tell if it's like a goat laughing or like a distorted baby cry. And then during the verses, we have these Weezer El Scorcho backing lines. But the chorus still has that emotion and power that we expect from her. And that emotion really erupts in the middle 8 section. But then she quickly puts a lid on it with the line, idiot. And up next is track number 9, Reaper Weekend. And this is the first of what I like to call the Divorce Trilogy. So this song and the next two are, in my opinion, different aspects of divorce. And Reaper Weekend sounds like what a child of divorce would listen to nowadays. The composition itself is very nightmarish to me. It feels like a fever dream mixed with vaporwave. And the vocals are pretty much what you expect from Gezebelle on this type of track. Almost sickly in a way. Not that she sounds bad, but the vocal lines themselves just almost make me nauseous, but in a good way. And track number 10 gives us You're Right, which sounds exactly what a 2000s divorced dad would listen to while working on his Harley. almost Evanescence-like. You get a little bit of a microtonal sound in it, which I think does a better job than Believe. And I also really enjoy the double time section as well. All in all, if you have a divorced dad rock playlist, I would definitely recommend adding this in there. You won't be disappointed. And track 11 gives us Quarter Pounder. If dad is working on his Harley after the divorce, mom is hitting up the clubs. In a way, I kind of am afraid every time I listen to this song, because as soon as I start hearing the kick drum come in, I already know that my inner baddie is about to pop out, and the real Nick Martyr is going to disappear for a couple minutes. Or is it that the real Nick Martyr is the baddie, and I get to be my real self for a couple minutes? Chew on that. But for real though, if Heads Up was a final fuck you to the guy that she liked, Quarter Pounder is a final fuck you to his new girl. And this near manic episode of drugs and sex and club music ends with what I can only describe as her attempt at a FNAF scream. This soundbite has been featured in many of her songs, and I love it when it makes a reappearance. And track number 12 gives us Bird Bath. This is by far her most diverse song. It's almost rock opera-ish, and it feels so much more vulnerable. If almost all of her songs are anger about rejection or a breakup, and Adam and Eve is about the introspection, Bird Bath is about defeat and acceptance. The final line of the song, "Why am I so stupid?" that hits pretty close to home for me. And lastly, we are greeted with track number 13, It's Over. And this track feels like the end credits sequence of an anime. It reminds me of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. If we were able to see under the mask in Bird Bath, and we are able to see her innermost being, the mask is back on, the hood is up, and she's not letting anyone peer through it. But you know what though, I'd be damned if I didn't say this song was catchy. And hopefully when I die and get my end credit sequence, this is the song that plays. As for the music videos for the album, there's only a few, and they're all very manic. I really don't know how to explain any of the music videos, to be honest. Unfathomable Pain is almost like if Instagram Reels were even more deep fried and then were allowed to be like 10 minutes long. Bird Bath is this manic fever dream. There are captions, so I guess it can be considered a lyric video instead of a music video. And then you have Gezebelle just flying around with these Photoshop wings. Everything's neon and sparkling. I can't watch it. It gives me a migraine, to be honest. Who knows? Maybe my brain's fully developed, so I can't see what's meant to be there or not. For Adam and Eve, Slime, Inside Her, and Heads Up, it's pretty much just the artwork for the single with these weird visual effects that added on to it. Sometimes they're worsened, sometimes they're lessened. Just depends on what part of the song you're listening to. And for what the album means to me, coming back to it a couple years after its release, I'm actually really surprised at how much I really connected with it then and even now. Of course, I enjoyed the album and enjoy her music. That's the reason why I have it on here. But then coming back to it and having the memories of when this album first came out, it's a bit powerful to me. This episode will be the introduction to Red, who is my ex-fiancée. She's bound to come up at least another few times, I imagine. And we were going through a very rocky part of our relationship. Really, the whole last year of our relationship was almost nothing but downs and very few ups. And this album acted almost as a soundtrack to that. And looking back, I can see the signs that were there. How Adam and Eve is about wanting somebody too much, being unhealthy about it, and being the person who's causing the harm in the relationship, but not knowing how to control yourself. Even the line inside her, I can't find my wedding ring. You don't notice anything. It just reminds me a lot of that last year or so. And really the pain that both of us were in. At least on the bright side, I can look back and see it instead of looking forward and dreading it. This album may act as a time capsule for what I was going through at that time, but that doesn't mean it's all it will ever be. Because like I said, when I die, I hope the end credits of my life are played to "It's Over" and its catchy hooks and lines. I've been Nick Martyr, and you've been watching the Martyr Music channel.